How's it going? Today we are going to be picking a player from each club who needs to be sold. Each Premier League club do a player. Let's get started. Arsenal. The two candidates for this were probably Mohamed Elneny or Cedric Soares. I've gone with Cedric Soares. He's a right back who doesn't play for Arsenal anymore. He's been with him for a good few years now, but he's never really took a starting role too well. I just don't think he's good enough for Arsenal anymore. Barely good enough for the Premier League. Just needs to move away. Arsenal should just get him off the books, in my opinion. Next up, possibly a bit controversial, but Philippe Coutinho. In the year he came, the loan year, he did alright. He did pretty well. Scored a few goals, created a few chances, did pretty well. And that's why they signed him on the permanent. But this season, or last season, he's just not been good enough, has he? I think he peaked too early. And now he's just washed, injury riddled. I think he has to leave Aston Villa. I don't know where he could go, but he needs to leave Aston Villa. For Bournemouth, and I've gone with Kiefer Moore, which is sad because I like Kiefer Moore, the Welshman. The problem is he's 31, and players like Dominic Solanke, Antoine Semenyo are stealing his shine at Bournemouth. They've got better options, and it is what it is, really. But I think Kiefer Moore might have to go back down to a Championship club. I don't see him getting minutes at Bournemouth. So for the club and for his own career, I think it's better off he leaves. The player I have for Brentford, which was a hard choice because they have got a very good team, really quality players. But I've gone with Charlie Good, and the truth is, he's just not good enough for Brentford anymore.
Oh, brother, this guy stinks!
Brentford have got other options at centre back, so he's not really needed. He should get off the books. Brighton, Adam Lallana. He's 34. He's ageing. Brighton are bringing in new player after new player. Mohamed Dahoud. Obviously, they are selling a lot of players, but they're bringing in youth players, and Lallana just doesn't really fit how they're going to play anymore. I just dropped something. Ignore it. I think Lallana should leave Brighton. I don't know where his career is going to go from here. He is getting on a bit. Make space for youth players to really make the first 11, which is what Brighton like to do. So I've gone with Lallana. Burnley and its third choice goalkeeper Lawrence Vigouroux. I didn't really know who to choose for this, but he's about 30. Played in League 2 last season. You don't really want him to come on as a sub in a Premier League game, do you? I've gone for him. Not much else to say, really. Chelsea and its Callum Hudson-Odoi was very shocking at Leverkusen last season. Really didn't contribute to the team. I still think he's not really going to be able to do out at Chelsea. He needs a move. He needs a move to a lower Premier League club. He's just not really going to suit Chelsea anymore. They brought in new players, Mykhailo Mudryk, Nicholas Jackson. These players are going to outshine him easily. I doubt he'll get any game time anyway. But Callum Hudson-Odoi needs to leave Chelsea. Crystal Palace and it's Odsonne Edouard. Right, he's been at Palace for a while. He's like a 5-goal-a-season striker, really, isn't he? But that's not what Palace need. Palace need goals if they're going to go anywhere. They've been in 12th place for about 7 years now. They need to move up. They need to try something new. They need a really good quality striker. They need an Ivan Toney, someone like that. Maybe not Ivan Toney, but someone who's going to bag like Ivan Toney. He's really important for Brentford. Palace needs someone like that for their team. Edouard isn't the person. He just isn't the person. They need someone new. Next is Everton, my club, and I've chosen a controversial one. The fans do love him. I personally don't. Dominic Calvert-Lewin. Trust me, okay, he's had his moments. He has had his own moments, but for the past few seasons, he has been an injury-stricken mess. He's not. A few seasons ago, he had an injury, and then it's never been the same. He's not really a quality striker anymore, and that's what Everton need. We've signed Danjuma, but is he really an out-and-out striker? I don't think he is. Maupay is shocking. I don't think Calvert-Lewin should stay at Everton. He needs a move. Everton need a good striker. They need a Chris Wood. They need someone who's going to get on set pieces. And Calvert-Lewin is just not going to bag for Everton anymore. I'm telling you now. We need someone new. Calvert-Lewin needs to go. Yeah. This is probably the most controversial of the lot. João Palhinha. arguably Fulham's best player right now, and the best player they've had for the past about 10 years. But Fulham's squad this year is thinning and thinning. They've lost Mitrovic, they've lost Solomon. It looks like they're losing Adarabioyo. They need depth in their squad. They need quality players. And they need to get money from João Paulinho. They need to sell him for about 50, 60 million. I mean, prices are mad nowadays, aren't they? Declan Rice, 100 million. So João Paulinho should easily be about 70. He's not that much older. Only 26. Get some money from this deal and sort out the squad. João Paulinho should get a good move to like Manchester United or something. And that's what needs to happen at Fulham. Otherwise, they could be in a scrap for relegation. Liverpool, Thiago. I mean, Liverpool are building a whole new midfield, aren't they? They tried to sign Caicedo, they tried to sign Romeo Lavia. Instead, they have McAllister, and they have also brought in Mitaru Endo and Dominic Szoboszlai. Mitaru Endo, I mean, I saw the game, this first game he played, I forgot who he was against. But he actually looked alright. He looked decent. But it's not really the signing that, it's a panic buy, isn't it? It's not really the signing that they were wanting to make. Losing out on both Caicedo and Lavia to Chelsea. But Szoboszlai looks good, so I think the midfield is growing quite well. But I think for that to happen, Thiago has to leave, doesn't he? I think he has to leave. Henderson's gone, Fabinho's gone, Thiago has to go. He's injured all the time. He just has to leave now, doesn't he? Luton Town, James Shea. Next. Man City, João Cancelo. He's been linked with Barcelona after he came back from loan at Bayern. I think the reason is because he fell out with Pep, and I think that means he has to go. I think he should leave Manchester City, go to Barcelona, get your game time back, because I think he still is a world-class fullback. He is one of the best fullbacks in the world. I mean, in the season before last, he was arguably the best fullback in the world, in my opinion. He was absolutely brilliant. If he can bring back that form, maybe get a move to Barcelona, get a move to somewhere, please just not Saudi Arabia. And yeah, he should be solid, I reckon. From Manchester United, may I present to you the man himself, the one and only
Harry Maguire!
It's been rumoured for Harry Maguire to leave United for quite a while now. The former club captain could be on his way out. There's been talks with West Ham over a deal with Maguire and Scott McTominay, but I think Maguire has to leave. He's made too many mistakes at the club. He's 30, he's not the future. Send him back to Leicester, send him to West Ham. He's just not good enough for the Champions League, for Manchester United anymore. They need better. So yeah, I think Manchester United should sell Harry Maguire. Goodbye, Slabhead.
Harry Maguire! Get rid of Harry Maguire! Get rid of Harry Maguire!
It is Newcastle next, and we have gone with Matt Ritchie. I just don't see him getting game time. Like, this is a good move it'll be a good move for the club, good move for him. Well, I don't know where he's going, but a move away from Newcastle. He's not going to get any game time anymore. He's getting on a bit. Newcastle are bringing in new players. Anthony Gordon is pulling through pretty well. It's just his time to go, isn't it? It's a new era. Nottingham Forest, Brennan Johnson. This one's very controversial as well. Don't get me wrong, he's quality. He is brilliant for the future. He's the next Gareth Bale, in my opinion. I just think his time at Forest could be over. Forest has spent so much money, they need to get some back, really. They could make really a lot of money off of Brennan Johnson, probably about 50 million on today's market. I think it's worth it. I think it's worth selling him. They've got other players coming through. Morgan Gibbs-White playing really well. Teo Awoniyi. And Anthony Elanga, really. I think it's better off they sell him and then get some money back, you know what I mean? Probably better off. So yeah. Sheffield United, John Edgen. Next. Tottenham Hotspur, this is really a sad one. It's Hugo Lloris. I'm sorry, but it has to happen. They've already got Fraser Forster. He's been replaced by the Italian Vicario. he's getting on. He's getting on. He's about 36. He didn't have a very good season last season. He just wasn't up to standards. I think it's time for him to move to another club. Maybe back to France, maybe to Saudi Arabia, maybe to the MLS. You never know. But I think it's time for him to hang up the gloves soon. I think have 1 or 2 last seasons and then eventually retire, which is sad, but it is what it is at the end of the day for Hugo Lloris and Tottenham Hotspur. West Ham United, it's the 35-year-old Italian centre-back, Ogbonna. More of the same, really. He's getting on. It's sad to say, but he is getting on. He's been at West Ham for about 10 years now. Obviously, former Juventus player. I think it's time that he leaves West Ham. New centre-backs coming in. Aguerd, Keller, Mavropanos has been signed. I think it is time for Ogbonna to leave, unfortunately. Last but not least, Fabio Silva of Wolverhampton Wanderers. He's only 21, but I don't think his future is at Wolves. Wolves need a prolific striker. Fabio Silva just isn't that. Well, definitely not yet. He barely scores. He doesn't really fit Wolves' system. And I think he needs to look for a club someplace else, unfortunately. That is the end of this video. I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye. Like and subscribe.